Good afternoon. Welcome to episode 11 of the Liberty is Essential podcast. My name's Donald Rainwater, and I wanted to talk to you this afternoon specifically about the committee hearing that I attended this morning down at the Indiana Government Center South. Pardon me. I went down there to testify in opposition to Senate Bill 316, which is a veterans bill dealing specifically with the Military Family Relief Fund. The issue that I spoke about is the 10% that the Indiana Department of Veterans Affairs wishes to take from the fund every year in order to pay for what they now say is marketing and promotion. The original bill said it was for operational costs, but I believe they knew that that would not fly, so they decided to change the wording, even though the intent of how they're going to spend the money probably hasn't changed. The reality is the Indiana Department of Veterans Affairs has a history of misusing and misallocating money out of the Military Family Relief Fund. Now, if you're not familiar with this fund, let me give you a brief overview. Veterans such as myself can purchase a specialty veterans license plate. And when they do that and put it on their vehicle, and I have two on my two vehicles, a portion of the money goes to the Military Family Relief Fund. That is a charitable fund that is set up by the state to give $2,500 grants to veterans and their families in economic crisis. Pardon me. I know I'm supposed to do it in my elbow, right? Sorry. Here's the problem. The Department of Veterans Affairs has a history of denying people who should be eligible for the fund and giving money to people who work at the Departments of Veterans Affairs and are getting paid. They have a job, but they were getting money out of this fund for their own personal use. So now that came to light a couple of years ago, and they're supposedly cleaning things up in their administration of this fund, they now have asked that they be able to take 10% of that annually to defray the cost of promoting the fund so that more veterans will know about it and be able to take advantage of it. Well, here's the problem. The taxpayers of the state of Indiana pay taxes so that the Indiana Department of Veterans Affairs has an operating budget. Part of their responsibility out of that operating budget is managing the Military Family Relief Fund. Now, if they don't have the money in their budget to do the job and do it right, that does not give them license to ask the Indiana General Assembly to let them take money out of that fund. You see, the money in that fund is meant to help veterans in need, help veterans and their families in crisis, not supplement what taxpayers are already paying for. You see, I don't believe that the state of Indiana needs more money from taxpayers to do what they were originally supposed to do as a state government. Unfortunately, the state government is bloated. It is doing things that it was never intended to do constitutionally in the state of Indiana. And therefore, it spends and wastes millions of dollars, your tax-paying dollars, on unnecessary expenditures. But instead of being better government, instead of being fiscally responsible, what we have in Indiana is just a government that is addicted to your money, and it wants more, and it will continue, it will continue to take more until you tell it no. Now, I went down there today and I testified that this 10% was a brand new tax. It was a tax on veterans and a tax on a charitable fund. And you know what? They voted 10-2 to pass that bill onto the floor for a vote. Why? Because the members of the Indiana General Assembly don't care about fiscal responsibility. They don't care about holding the Indiana Department of Veterans Affairs accountable for their budget. There's a pot of money and they want to dip into it. And the Veterans Affairs and Public Safety Committee said, go ahead. 10 out of the 12. And there are people on that committee, I will not name names, but there are people on that committee who signed the Taxpayer Protection Pledge from the Americans for Tax Reform. You've probably heard me talk about that before. They signed that and they said, I will vote against any attempt to increase taxes. This is a tax increase, and they voted for it. Why? Because they're willing to tell you whatever they think you need to hear for you to vote for them. They could not possibly care any less about whether they actually do what they promise or not. This is the quality of individual that you have representing you in the Indiana House of Representatives. This is the quality of, there were veterans on this committee, yet they are perfectly okay with dipping in to this money for government operational purposes. And I'm here to tell you right now, all you have to do is go out to iga.in.gov, look under bills, and as a matter of fact, I'll just real quickly here, I'll share this. We'll do this so that if you haven't seen this before, you will see it now. Give me just a second and we will iga.in.gov, and I'll share this with you. Hopefully you can see this okay. And if you go to legislation here on the menu, and you go to bills, and then you go down here on the Senate side to Senate Bill 316. click on that. It'll take you to the bill. It'll show you who authored it, who co-authored it, and who sponsored it. And if you look here under House roll calls, you'll find the vote sheet for today. And you'll see, I believe you can probably see the names here of the members of the committee and how they voted on this. There were 2 noes, 1 exempt, and 10 yeses. And you can see who those people are. So, what we're dealing with here is an issue where we just don't have any checks and balances. Our state representatives aren't representing us anymore. They represent the executive branch of government. We see that not only in this case, where the Department of Veterans Affairs says we want to steal money out of this charitable fund, and the members of the General Assembly go, okay, where do we sign? We'll go ahead and vote to let you do it, no problem, even though they know it's wrong. They know it's wrong. They know it's not the right thing to do, but they do it anyway. Why? Because we don't have an executive branch of government and a legislative branch of government anymore in the state of Indiana. We have a supermajority of one political party that is running everything. And if you get their permission to do something, you can do it. And if you put enough money in their campaign funds, they'll let you do what you want. That's the bottom line. That's the state we live in today, folks. I hear people all the time bashing what's going on in New York and what's going on in California. Well, what's going on in Indiana is not much better. It really isn't. While I testified today, I had a member of that committee, a state representative, ask me, first of all, if I didn't take political contributions when I ran for governor, and did I use those contributions, those donations, for promotional purposes, to advertise? My answer was, of course, because when you solicit political donations, the people donating know that you're going to use their money to run radio ads and television ads and to buy door hangers, to go door to door. That's why you are asking for that money. And there is an understood contract between the donor and the candidate that if I donate money to your political campaign, you're going to use it to try to get elected. And some of that is going to be advertising expense. There's an understood contract with that donation. Then this state representative said, well, don't you think that the Department of Veterans Affairs should be able to use some of those donations? Don't you think people know? Isn't it the same? Folks, when you have a state representative, an elected legislative official who doesn't know the difference between a political contribution and a charitable donation to a fund donated by veterans to help veterans. When your state representative sitting there doesn't know the damn difference, what in the world are we doing on election day? How do we vote for people who evidently get political contributions but don't know what they're for, and don't know the difference between a political contribution and when a veteran pays extra money for a license plate with the intent of helping other veterans? Now, I was appalled. I couldn't believe that I was asked that question. Because frankly, again, if you don't know the difference between a political contribution and paying a premium for a license plate that you know that premium is supposed to go into a fund to help veterans in need, holy crap. And again, I'm not going to name names, but I'll bet if you do some digging, you'll find out who asked me that question. And you'll probably be shocked. But here's the reality, folks. If you think that the people that you elected to represent you in the Indiana General Assembly are representing you, you're wrong. They're not. They don't represent you. They don't represent me. They represent the bureaucracy that they are a part of, and they represent the corporations that make sure they have the money to get reelected. Our government is a mess. Our state government is not good government. And they can brag on TV all they want. The proof is in the pudding. The reality is that these people don't do what they say. They tell you they're for limited government, and they're not. They tell you they're for lower taxes. They tell you they're for fiscal responsibility. They call themselves liberty-minded or libertarian, and they're not. It just ain't so. Because liberty-minded people, fiscally responsible people, conservative, if you want to use that term, fiscally conservative people would have looked at this 10% and said, no way. No, we're not doing it. It's not leaving committee. The Senate already passed it. The whole state Senate passed this bill. That's how it got to the House. Now the House committees passed it. Now it's going to go for a full vote on the House floor. And I'll tell you right now, I'm going to encourage you to call your state representative and encourage them to vote no, because this is wrong. They're not going to listen to you. I would love to be able to tell you, call them, email them. It's going to make a difference. It won't. I want you to call them and email them anyway. I know that sounds silly, but we have to have our voices heard. Because when we speak our voices, when we tell our representatives and our state senators, this is what we believe. This is what we want out of better government. and they don't do it, they won't be surprised when we vote them out of office. Because today, that's what we need to do. We need to start looking around for people who will represent the citizens of the state of Indiana, who will take the oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the state of Indiana and mean it. Not just say it, mean it. We need to find these people, and we need to find them now. I am going to keep going down to the General Assembly and being a voice for the people. I'm going to continue to talk about individual rights and constitutionally limited government. And I'm going to keep working toward better government in Indiana, not bigger government. And I need your help. You see, unfortunately, I do know the difference between donating to a charity and donating to a cause. And I need your donation. I need you to help me fund Liberty is Essential PAC. If you can. Not everybody can. Not everybody can afford to donate to a political action committee, and I understand that. I do want to remind you, by the way, that the federal government is going to be sending some of your tax dollars back to you in the form of this stimulus payment. If you have the means and you want to really kind of stick it to them, we would love to have a donation. Because the reality is that the more money I can raise for this PAC, the more resources I have to fight for you. And the difference between me fighting for you and what your elected representatives are doing is that I actually believe what I'm saying, and I mean what I say, and I'm going to continue to work and fight to try to make Indiana government better government, not bigger government. So if you can help, if you are so inclined, we need your help. I need your help. I need your financial support. Feel a little like Bernie Sanders. We once again need your support. But the reality is that the people who are taking our rights away from us, who are expanding government at every turn, they have millions and millions of dollars in resources at their disposal. I don't have a lot of money to fight this fight. That's why I need your help. If you can help, please go to www.libertyisessential.us/donate. It's going across the screen right now. Please go there, go to our website, libertyisessential.com, click on the donate button, and donate if you can. I appreciate your help. For those of you, I've seen a couple of people comment and say that they're going to run for office. Thank you. Bless you. If you need help, reach out to me. I'll knock on doors with you. We'll make phone calls for you. Anybody who's truly, honestly, liberty-minded, I will help you get elected because that's important. I will make sure, whether it's a local town or city race, whether it's a county race, whether it's for state senator, state representative, if you want to run and you are a truly liberty-minded individual who believes in smaller government and less regulation and more individual freedom, I will stand behind you, next to you, with you all the way. We need to fix what's broken down at 200 West Washington Street in Indianapolis, Indiana. Our state house, you think the pandemic is a disease? What's going on at our state house is a disease. And we have a government health crisis today, and we need to address it. So again, I thank you so much. I appreciate everyone's support. I know that we are in a troubling, trying time. And I just want to take a minute and talk a little bit about something that I hear a lot about, and I've tried not to talk a lot about, but I just briefly, I hear many people say, I'm not going to vote anymore. The elections are rigged. My vote doesn't count. Folks, don't give up your vote. It's what they want. They want you to stay at home so that the people who want to fundamentally change our way of life can get control of our government and take our freedoms away. And the only way that we can keep that from happening is to run for office and vote. And if you think for 1 minute that we can't change things with the vote, believe me, the reason they're trying to convince you that this election was hopelessly rigged and that your vote doesn't count is so you won't vote. We must continue to exercise our rights and demand that our government do as they are chartered to do, not as they want to do. And we do that by taking our government back in the means and the way that are laid out in our constitutions. And that is by ensuring that we exercise our vote and that we protect our vote. And the way you protect your vote is to make sure that when you go in and vote, nobody touches your voting machine but you. Nobody walks up and says, now, if you want to vote straight ticket, just push this button right here. We've got to put a stop to that. That is both unethical and illegal in the state of Indiana. We need better election laws. We need better legislators. And we need to make sure that our Secretary of State and the people in the election division, not only at the state level, but at all the county levels, have our best interest at heart, not the Republican parties, not the Democrat parties. We need nonpartisan elections, not bipartisan elections. So again, I encourage you, I beg you, don't give up your vote. Protect your vote. Value your vote. But don't give it up. That's what they want. And when we start saying it doesn't matter because it's all rigged, they've won. And we lose everything. So again, folks, thank you so much for your support. I appreciate you taking the time. Obviously, I've gone on for 30 minutes, and I appreciate everyone who watches this, and I appreciate your support, both your emotional support, your verbal support, and very importantly, your financial support, because we just can't fight this fight. You imagine trying to fight Mike Tyson if you're just 150-pound weakling. And without the financial resources, that's what we're doing. It's not even David and Goliath. We need your help. Because if you'll help me, I'll be there for you. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you again soon.